Okay, folks, welcome back for another deep dive. And today we are, this one's going to be a little bit tough.
Yeah.
We're going to be looking at a news report about a murder-suicide
Mm-hmm.
in Longview, Washington. And um, obviously, it's Halloween night, tragedy, family, a couple uh, was found dead, and their 11-year-old son was home at the time, thankfully
Yeah.
unaware
Yeah.
of what was happening. But
That's tough.
yeah, it's definitely a difficult one. So I think, when we look into these kind of cases, we always want to be, sensitive to the victims and the families.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, we're not here to sensationalize anything. We're
Yeah.
really just trying to look for, what are some of the details that we can glean from this reporting
Mm.
and see, if there are any kind of takeaways or things that
Yeah.
we can learn from this very, very sad case.
Right. And we want to make sure that, we're remembering that these are, real people
Yeah.
with real lives. And, behind the headlines, there's always more to the story.
Exactly. So maybe you can just sort of like give us a quick rundown of the basic facts of the case as they're presented in the news report.
So, yeah, we have Juan Antonio Alvarado Sanz, who's 38 years old, and Cecilia Robles Ochoa,
Okay.
who was 79 years old, found dead in their home on Halloween night. And as you mentioned, their 11-year-old son was home, but he was thankfully unaware of what was going on.
Yeah, it says here he was in another room playing video games
Oh, wow.
with earbuds in.
Oh, geez.
So that detail is just absolutely chilling to me.
Yeah, it really puts it into perspective, doesn't it?
It does because,
Uh-huh.
as a parent myself, I can't imagine,
Yeah.
the thought of your child being home and something so horrific is
Right.
happening just feet away from them and they have no idea.
And to be, completely engrossed in something else like that,
Exactly.
just speaks to how, sometimes life can be so compartmentalized.
It really does. So what else does the report tell us about, the investigation, the cause of death?
Well, the police have concluded it was a murder-suicide, and they found both stabbing and shooting involved.
Whoa. So both.
Yeah,
Both.
that's unusual.
It is very unusual. And it also says that the couple was assaulting each other,
Okay.
but they couldn't determine who the primary aggressor was.
Wow. So they're saying they were both attacking each other,
Yeah.
but they don't know who started it.
Right. They couldn't figure out who initiated the violence.
That makes this even more complicated.
It does. It really
Yeah.
does. And it kind of speaks to, sometimes the difficulty in these cases of, really piecing together exactly what happened and who was, more responsible,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you're talking about something that happened behind closed doors.
Exactly. Now, there's also this detail about the firearm being stolen from the husband's workplace.
Oh, right. Yes.
And that wasn't discovered until after the incident. So it
Mhm.
seems like there might have been some time between when the gun was taken and when this all happened. Yeah, that's a significant detail. And, it makes you think about how access to firearms can play a role in these situations.
Yeah, for sure. Like, would things have escalated to this point
Right.
if a gun wasn't readily available?
Yeah, that's a really important question, and it's something that, experts have been studying for a long time. The link between firearms and domestic violence is complex, but it's definitely something to consider.
Yeah. So, obviously there's a lot that we don't know and may never know about what exactly happened that night.
Yeah.
But the police did interview people who knew the couple.
Mm-hmm.
And what did they say?
Well, they revealed that the couple had been having some relationship issues, and they were actually planning to separate.
Okay, so there was already some tension there.
Right. And, that's unfortunately a common factor in a lot of domestic violence cases. There's often a history of conflict or, a breakdown in the relationship before things escalate
Yeah.
to violence.
Yeah, for sure. Now, obviously this is just an incredibly tragic situation all around.
It really is.
And our thoughts go out to the children who have lost their parents.
Yeah.
And the news report mentions a GoFundMe campaign that was set up to support them.
Yeah, it's great to see the community coming together to try and help these kids.
It is. And it says here on the page, let me just read a little excerpt. The sudden and tragic loss of their parents has left these 3 young children facing an unimaginable future.
Mm-hmm.
We are asking for your support to help them navigate this difficult time.
And, it goes on to talk about, just the practical needs that they're going to have.
Yeah, things like, funeral expenses
Yeah.
and, just the cost of everyday life.
Exactly. And it's
Yeah.
just, when you read something like that, it really hits home.
Yeah, it's a reminder that, domestic violence isn't just about the immediate victims.
Mm-hmm.
It affects so many people.
Yeah, it ripples outwards.
Yeah.
So, as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, what are some of your final thoughts on this case?
Well, it's a stark reminder that domestic violence is a serious problem.
And it's often a lot more complicated than it might seem on the surface.
Hmm.
And, it's so important to remember that there are often warning signs, things like controlling behavior or verbal abuse.
Yeah.
And recognizing those signs early on can be crucial.
Right. Yeah, and I think it also makes us question, you know, could this tragedy have been prevented? Is
Yeah.
there anything that could have been done differently?
That's a tough question. And there may not be easy answers, but it's definitely a question worth asking.
Absolutely. So, listen, as you're listening to this, what are your thoughts?
Hmm.
What are some of the things that stand out to you about this case? And maybe more importantly, what resources or support systems do you think could make a difference in situations like this?
Yeah.
We may never have all the answers, but
Yeah.
having these conversations, I think, is a good first step.
It is. It's how we learn and hopefully prevent future tragedies.
Exactly. So thanks for joining us for another deep dive, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, be safe out there, everyone.